Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to the videos of the paid request. This time for James. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video. And this is for another episode of Black Mirror, Season 6, Episode 3, Beyond the Sea. Which I always think of the X-Files episode with Brad Dourif doing his sort of Hannibal Lecter type of thing. Now, it stars Josh Hartnett and Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul from the TV show Breaking Bad. Josh Hartnett, who was in Halloween H2O. He was in The Faculty. A variety of other movies. It takes place like an alternate 1969, give or take the year, where these two are on a ship, but then they have replicas of themselves on Earth. So what they'll do is they'll do their duties on the ship, and then they'll sleep in this pod, and they'll transfer into this fake body that's on Earth, but that way they can interact with their family, they can see their kids. So you have Josh Hartnett, who's more the artist. You get the idea he's more of a loving dad and father, while Aaron Paul, he's more of the gruff, cold guy who... Him, his wife, and the kid are out in the middle of nowhere. He's the manly man cutting wood. He's very disciplinary, you tell, with his kid. Kind of not too loving with his wife. Doesn't show a whole lot of his emotions. So again, the two of them are in space, but they use synthetics to walk around on Earth. So one day, Josh Hartnett is coming home. He's with his family, and this cult comes by, led by Rory Culkin. Yes, the brother Macaulay Culkin. And you can tell this is supposed to be a nod to the Charles Manson cult. And of course, what happened way back in the day to Miss Tate. But here... they don't like the idea of synthetics, so they kill Josh Hartnett and his family. Where they tie him up. I do like this bit where he breaks out of it. And I thought Josh Hartnett did a good job where he's trying to dip back in and try to dip back into his bodies to try to help out, but it doesn't. They're burnt up. There are no replicas for Josh Hartnett. And pretty much he's just in a state of shock. He's just doing his job. Doesn't want to talk. Aaron Paul tries to say sorry, but he's told to leave him alone. He just wandered around. He can't go anywhere. He has to stay in the ship while Aaron Paul can still be with his family. Until ultimately, he talks with his wife. At one point, it seemed like Josh Hartnett was going to get himself out of the airlock. So he's definitely thinking... because they don't say how much time has passed, but... definitely some time has passed. Enough for him to grow out his beard and stuff. So Aaron Paul gets the idea of... well, how about I let you use my body for an hour... so at least you can breathe the air in that body, and you won't go stir crazy... and you like the paint, so you can paint here in the barn. So Josh Hart is very appreciative of it. And he's painting a portrait of the house. But you get the idea that he's kind of fallen for Aaron Paul's wife. He puts out a book for her. And she kind of likes it a little bit because her husband, again, is very cold, very emotionless. As she puts it later on, for a moment I felt like my husband was back. Because when you're actually around, it still doesn't seem like you're around. But Josh Hartnett, when he's in your body, he's attentive towards me and other stuff. Now, it's one of those things that, number one, is a very long episode. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. So it's pretty much a movie. I mean, it's an episode, but it's a movie. It's 80 minutes long. I mean, on one hand, it gives enough time to build up. Things don't feel too rushed with certain events, especially with Josh Hartnett dealing with the loss. You really do get a sense of his isolation, his loneliness, and I thought Josh Hartnett did a good job. But I mean, I don't mind him as an actor. I do like him, so it was nice to see him in this type of role. Aaron Paul, I just say purposely told him to have this bit of a gruffer voice, which took me a bit to get used to because I'm used to the way he plays his character in Breaking Bad. So I had to adjust myself into his performance in this. I would say I like Josh Hartnett's performance more, but I got used to Aaron Paul as soon as his Javid Gruffer voice. I'm sure it's supposed to be some diatribe about toxic masculinity, and especially how it was back in the late 60s, early 70s, where the guy was either disciplinary to his kid, where the kid will say, yes, sir, and they'll push his chair in, behave. More like he's been smacked a few times from him. There's even a bit where he asks her how was Josh Hartnett's character, and she mentions how he wept like a child, and his first reaction is, in front of you? Because Aaron Paul is kind of the type of guy that you shouldn't be crying, in particular, shouldn't be crying in front of women and stuff. It is a slow build. You know something is coming eventually. It's one of those things that I liked it okay. The concept of it being new but old. So it's this time period where you have these old school clothes and environment, but at the same time, this sci-fi element of the synthetic stuff. I kind of get what it was trying to go for. I thought the way it ended, that's kind of where my mind is being a bit screwy with how I feel about this. Because spoilers, I didn't to explain further. Josh Hartnett tries to hit on her, and she's like, listen, you're wearing my husband like a suit. And he's like, well, he doesn't treat you right. Listen, just leave. The kid messes up his painting, and he smacks him. We don't see it, but we get the idea. So when Aaron Paul comes back, she explains what happened. And, like, she tells him that he smacked the kid. He's like, well, you know what? I've had to smack him a few times for disciplinary actions. So you get a bit more of Aaron Paul, what type of guy he is. And she mentions about how all the time, even when you hear I'm lonely, and for a moment I felt like my husband was back. So also Aaron Paul had seen that the Josh had done some drawings, some nude drawings on the ship, and confronts her, and she's like, I don't know how he did that. I had nothing to do with it. So then what happens is Josh Hartnett apologizes. Aaron Paul says, you're never going to use my body again. She wants nothing to do with you. She'd be sick yet looking at you. Sometime later, there's an emergency, so you think Aaron Paul gets locked out of the ship for a bit of time, but then Josh Hartnett lets him back in. He realizes Josh used his synthetic body. He goes back in. When he goes down to Earth, finds out that his family's been murdered by Josh Hartnett using his body. Comes back up. They're both staring at each other. I do like the way Josh Hartnett plays the scene. We kind of look at him. Then he looks at the chair and he kicks it. Kind of like have a seat. Because the thing with the ship is that it's a two-man operation. You have to have two people. So if one kills the other, it seals the other's fate. So it ends ambiguously where you don't know what will happen. Will they try to kill each other? Which if they succeed at the end, they're both dead. Will they both try to wait until they get back to Earth and then see what happens? We'll never know. I mean, the last moment with the way Josh Hartnett plays the scene, I like. But I still feel that it was a bit of a stretch that Josh Hartnett would kill that family. Because we saw, I get that he's been emotionally damaged because of the death of his family, that he was wandering around and stuff, but again, it still felt like a big leap for him to do this, and I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. I mean, if in fact, it would have been even more. It would have made more sense to me if Aaron Paul did it, because he thought, like, if Aaron Paul thought that his family liked Hartnett better than him, they would get angry and, do certain things. I don't know, maybe it was one of those things where I don't know, if he was in Aaron Paul's body and he got a message of, hey, tell your partner that we got a new body for him, or we got a new replica for him, and if he ever wants to use it, let us know. But he doesn't tell the actual Aaron Paul about it. And it becomes sort of where Aaron Paul is the more toxic guy, and he gets more jealous, and because he's jealous that, I would have preferred that. And then Aaron Paul, he's going to pretend that he's Josh Hartnett, see how she acts, and Josh Hartnett finds out, then he gets in his own body, and he drives, all that way, and makes it nick of time and saves him. And then it's Josh Hartnett, hey, nice to meet you, and she's like, nice to meet you. I don't know, this is a different way, different direction I would have gone with. Because again, I don't buy Josh Hartnett. With how slowly built it up. Where it's just like, oh, I'm going to get you a book. Here's a sci-fi book. You'll enjoy reading that. While I'm painting. I guess the idea of him smacking the kid is to show that his mindset is not like it used to be. It just came off as very false part of the narrative for me. And yeah, like I said, it's still hard for me to buy that Josh Hartnett's character would go to that length to do that. Other than the show Aaron Paul, you don't know how it's like. You know how it feels like. Well, now you don't know how it feels like to have your family murdered by someone. As also kind of a downer ending, because really Aaron Paul's character at that point really hasn't done anything to deserve this fate. Like the way they show him is that he's been emotionally distant from his wife, but he's helping his colleague. He lets his colleague use his body. He sees these drawings and confronts his wife, but he listens to her, and then he believes in her. And then at this moment where he hugs her and vice versa, you get the sense that he's going to try to be better. And in doing so, he pretty much gets punished harshly. So you have Aaron Paul not deserving this fate, and so it just comes off as a mean-spirited ending as well. So I wasn't really big on that. So I would say I liked some of the actors, and it is a long episode. Again, feature length. Just not big on the ending, not big on the mean-spiritedness. Maybe it worked in some other aspects, but here just wasn't for me. Although I did like seeing Josh Hartnett in it. So, take that for what you will. Well, that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.